has been this shining light, the democracy that other countries look at. But through the course of that history, other countries have also looked at America for other things. So we know in both in Germany and in South Africa that they looked at the ways in which laws were written in America that allowed for discrimination and segregation and other things to be to frame their own. We also know that my grandparents were alive at a time in which black folks could not vote. My mother went to segregated schools. We talk about these things like these things are not the real recent history of America. My grandfather didn't live to be 100 years old. So for the vast majority of the history of our country, we have had people being disenfranchised, marginalized, etc. When Marion talks about all the different things that are happening, there's almost too much to name right now. We know that post-Reconstruction is when you had the largest representation of black folks in elected office, and we now have it so that the kind of gerrymandering, packing versus stacking is now under threat. There's the possibility that we might lose up to 9 or 12 elected black officials. That these kind of majority minority districts have been very important in terms of representation. And so, as the mayor talked about, most of these things are not taught in the education system, either through K through 12 education. You almost have to take a black history course or something in college to actually hear the true history of our country. And so Juneteenth is very important, but this particular Juneteenth, as we lead into the 250th anniversary of the country, I think it's imperative that we actually think about these things, because all of the gains of the civil rights movement, all of the governmental structures that we thought were stable and that over time had been put in place and can't be shaken, we've seen that those things have been kind of shaken to their core. So what democracy actually means in this year of the 250th anniversary, I think is something that is severely in question, and something that we should think about and process both today and as we go forward next year, when there'll be all the celebrations and the fireworks, but none of the discourse about what has brought us to this particular point in time. They often in civil rights and organizing circles talk about black folks and other folks being the canary in the coal mine. And so I always say this, but years ago when all the organizers happened around George Floyd, all those different things, there was a lot of talk about the racial reckoning. We've seen that not only stopped very, very short of its idealized goals, but again, all of the infrastructure that my forebears and other folks built is under threat and attack. Just yesterday, or this week rather, the Department of Justice is intervening in the Evanston, Illinois case in terms of reparations. We're seeing that big DEI stuff is under threat and attack. Anything that mentions the word black or woman or any other sort of marginalized identity is under threat and attack. And so, again, black folks and other folks have always been the canary in the coal mine. And so what happens to those who are least represented, those who are most marginalized, always ends up coming and impacting all of us. And it's very important to think about that, again, today as we lead into the 250th anniversary